This showcase was impressive to say the least. And honestly, Sony's state of play couldn't hold a candle to this because this showcase had games that people actually gave a damn about. I'm talking about the Fable reboot, I'm talking about the Perfect Dark reboot, and I'm talking about the Doom game, Doom the Dark Ages. And honestly, like for me, those were the three games that caught my attention the most. And obviously, there were several other games that stood out as well, like Call of Duty Black Ops 6, Gears of War E Day. Um, we got the Diablo 4 expansion pack, Vessel of Hatred. We got State of Decay 3. We got Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. We got Dragon Age The Veilguard, which is supposed to be the sequel to the Dragon Age Inquisition game that came out back in 2014. And we also had Assassin's Creed Shadow. It's like you had like a list of games that achieved like mainstream popularity in the past that people were familiar with and actually liked. And Sony's State of Play showcase, it felt pretty bare bones, and there wasn't really much to it aside from a new Monster Hunter game and God of War Ragnarok coming to PC. And honestly, like the trailers for Fable, Perfect Dark, and the new Doom game, all of them were impressive, especially the Perfect Dark trailer. I feel like that one stood out the most because that was a reboot that no one thought was going to happen because we heard that the project died years ago. And, seeing the actual trailer was jaw dropping. The whole like futuristic cyberpunk look with the parkour gameplay and the voiceover acting, all of it was awesome. The only thing is we have no idea when the game is coming out because that was something that wasn't revealed in the trailer. So it makes you wonder how far in development the game is in. You look at the Fable reboot. It's not even called Fable 4. It's basically a reboot because the series has been dead for over a decade because the last Fable game came out back in 2010, which is Fable 3. And some people argue that that's the game that kind of like killed the series seemingly at the time, but the reality is the developers had went defunct, and that's why it's basically been dead for quite some time. And I believe the Fable game has a new developer, and a lot of people are kind of, you know, they're kind of mixed on how this game might end up being since Lionhead Studios isn't the one developing it anymore. I believe the developer for this upcoming Fable game is the maker for the Forza games. I believe it's Playground Games, and a lot of people are like, how's this going to look? Are they going to be able to you know, exceed people's expectations in this upcoming game. And a lot of people are wondering what type of features is going to be in Fable. Will it have an in-depth customization suite or not? Because that was one of the things that kind of defined some of the older Fable games for the most part. And the amount of freedom that you had and the choices you made and how it affected the world around you. Those things are among what made Fable Fable. And honestly, we waited like over a decade and some change for another Fable game. And honestly, it better deliver because this is a game that we should have gotten years ago. And you look at Doom: The Dark Ages. For those who are into apocalyptic first-person shooters, this is a game that a lot of people could probably sink their teeth into, and a lot of people feel like this might end up being the best Doom game since Doom 3, which came out back in the 2000s. Um, and like those games that I just mentioned, they stood out the most to me, mainly because they're older IPs and they came out during a time period where gaming was at a higher point than it is now. And it was way more popular back in the day. And for the most part, gaming conventions and events were a thing. Now, like everybody is just like streaming for the most part. And I will give Xbox credit. Their stream was impressive. It blew Sony out of the water for the most part. And it's a shame because like Sony has like games that sell more for the most part. I mean, with like the Sony State of Play, I mean, a lot of people were probably expecting like some type of gameplay footage in relation to the Marvel Blade game or the Wolverine game that's supposed to be coming out sometime in the future. But my guess is that those two games aren't even close to being done. And at this rate, we might not see those games until like late 2025 or 2026 at the latest. But we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens with Sony. But all the other games that were included in this showcase, they were all impressive as well for the most part. The fact that we're still getting expansion packs for World of Warcraft is insane because that game has been out for 20 years now. Diablo 4 is going to continue to get more and more expansion packs until I guess they do a Diablo 5, and God knows when that's going to happen because Diablo 3 came out in 2012 and Diablo 4 came out this past year. So we might not get a Diablo 5 until like another, it's going to be sometime in the 2030s or something like that. They're going to, like Activision is going to milk the hell out of Diablo, as much as they can with these expansion packs. Assassin's Creed Shadows was impressive as well. And yeah, like the whole lineup of games. 'Cause I think there was like 30 games or something included in this showcase. All of them looked impressive, and honestly, a lot of people have high expectations for Xbox in the future. And I feel like reviving a lot of older IPs was a good idea because it's an opportunity for the company to bring back lapsed fans, people who are fans of the games I mentioned in the past, or Perfect Dark and Fable, and like it's going to bring back lapsed fans because for the most part, nothing's been done with Perfect Dark for a long time. Nothing's been done with Fable for a long time, and just seeing the like trailers for those games, it was like a breath of fresh air for the most part, and hopefully we'll learn more details about those games sometime before the end of 2024.